from the westernunion.com VIP Lounge.
It's 106 KMEL. Your girl Shay Diddy here, sitting down with the legend, Maxwell.
I'm talking to you.
What?
Before we started this, we were all about basketball, were we not?
Yes, we were.
She's very inquisitive and very, very skillfully understanding. She knows all the basketball in and outs. There are political things that you can't say right now.
Of course.
Being a Warriors fan, but
Die-hard Warriors fan.
Yes.
But I am looking forward to the 2016 season.
Me
2017,
too.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Because, Sunday was heartbreaking. And
it was, but you guys did an incredible job. I'm a Knicks fan, because I'm from Brooklyn, New York. But I think that you guys, brought the spirit and the beauty of what basketball means back into the game. It was like Hollywood type stuff. So props to you guys. Much love to LeBron and the Cavs for doing what they did. It was just a great game. It just made me feel good about basketball and what it means again.
Especially because the East has been so dominant for years, and now it kind of feels like it's shifted a little bit where the West is so dominant and the East is trying to rebuild.
Right.
And it's just a good look for the Bay Area because
Did you forget about the Lakers at all?
What happened? Lakers were the only team. We're talking about the Bay Area when we say the West. Nobody cares about LA. I'm just saying, except for her. But anyway, so let's talk about you because you don't understand. I heard Maxwell was coming, and I was like, drop everything. Get ready.
I've done so many drops for you, just because your show is so popular and you're so popular. And it's good to be, sitting here.
Yeah.
And, at the iHeart VIP Lounge, where you can get your Western Union as well, apparently. If you want to send me any money for anything, I'm willing to accept it. Or for any causes that I represent, and or for the Warriors for, whatever decisions they need to make down the road.
Donation for Warrior tickets. I could take those. I'm just saying. So let's talk about this new album because it comes out July 1st?
July 1st, 7-1.
Okay.
I love the number 7. We play the Essence Music Festival. Mm-hmm. It's the third time I've done it. I've headlined an evening.
Yeah.
I think Mariah Carey does the next night, and then Kendrick Lamar does the third night.
Yeah.
It's like 4th of July for beige people. It's the people of color, like Lollapalooza, basically. So I'm excited, that the record's finally done.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to you guys for the support that you've given, like By the Ocean. And, it's kind of like amazing to be able to go away and live life, be a normal guy, absorb the experiences of what life has to offer, translate that into music, and then to have this, incredible, encouraging experience of being supported by so many of your stations and to have it work. It's kind of freaks me out.
Well, that's something that we were actually talking about because that's the one thing with you, which we, unfortunately, in my opinion, we don't see with a lot of artists today, is that your music is consistent. And that's one thing that fans love. It's your consistency. It's genuinely who you are or your sound. And it crosses over time. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can always relate to it, and it always sounds amazing. And then when you're on stage, it's like, wait a minute, is that a CD or is that him live? Which we also don't get nowadays. So
no auto-tune here.
Exactly.
Look, I got to say, someone asked me something and said, like, where do you get your spirit from? And I have to say that collectively over the last 20 years, my spirit has been built and sculpted and molded by the years of support that I've received from, the community that loves soul music. Mm-hmm. Coming from a very diverse background, Haitian, Puerto Rican, being born in Brooklyn, not feeling like I have that exact perfect story of the soul singer man kind of thing, and to be embraced over the years by you all. It's such a reward. So for me to be out there, doing the Mountain Winery show yesterday, underneath the stars with the moon popping, and of course everyone's happy because it wasn't game night. You know, the fellas were like, yes, we can come to this show, no problem.
Right.
I did plan and schedule the dates
Did
around.
you really?
I'm not a fool. I don't want to do that. To all my brothers out there who want to like watch the game, and then their wives are like, no, we're going to see Maxwell, and then homie's sitting in the audience tighter than anything, looking at his phone, asking Siri, where we at with the game. So it's just an honor to be able to do this and to be able to do it for as long as it's been happening, so.
Right. So how do you go on a 7-year hiatus and then jump back and say, hey, I'm dropping the album. Oh, and I'm going on tour. Like, did you have to prep for that? Or like, were you just like, let's do it, I'm ready?
It just felt like it was the right time. I have taxes, like we all do.
Yeah.
No, we were ready. It was, I have no real control over the music. I want people to understand that, write these songs. I've worked with the same people for the last 20 years. It's not a conveyor belt. It's not a machine. It's not a factory. It's, it's homegrown. It's a mom and pop place. That's kind of what we do. So, amongst going through normal life things, turning 40, 41, now 43, losing a couple of family members, seeing the process of music change and evolve, and trying to also understand how do I maintain the artistry that I've been blessed to be surrounded by, remain current, but don't play yourself because you are who you are, remember who you are, kind of thing. All those things play into it, and the time that it takes is the time that it takes because of that. But at the end of the day, I know that this is my last chance to put something out, and it will be heard that way forever and ever. So it's a little stressful for me, and it creates a lot of anxiety. That's why sometimes I prefer being on the road, because it's just right there. It's fluid. But, having to, design a record and make sure that sonically everything comes together, and I'm old school, so I like albums, like I remember when Prince was talking and he said, remember albums, we live in a very single-driven era right now where one song is all you need. But I still kind of harken back to a time where it is about a collective piece of music. Like I listen to Marvin Gaye's I Want You. It's not just one song. It's like you put it on, you let it play, and hopefully that's what, people will get from what we release on the 1st of July. I keep having to say that, they say, but
Black Summer's Night, July 1st.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And, we put a lot of love. There's real life in there. There's real experience. And there's real musicianship. So I hope you enjoy.
Well, I'm personally excited for it, just based on your track history. When you drop an album, it's pretty much something that you play front to back. So I honestly don't think you're going to have any issues with sales when it comes to this album. But I did want to know, because you and Prince did have a great relationship, and he always spoke so fondly of you. And I think it was also because he admired your artistry as well, and he respected it.
You don't understand like what this man was, and still to me is. He's, when you're a kid, I was a kid, so he was kind of scary in the beginning, because it's like, what the hell is this? I'm watching Solid Gold. I'm like, I don't know, 11 years old or whatever. And then of course Purple Rain kicks in, and he's so different, and he's so who he is, but he has a following that is so urban at the same time. And people don't understand how difficult that is, to be completely unique unto yourself, and to still have people who love soul music, people of color, people of whatever,
all backgrounds,
be down, the way that he had them down. And I think that at the end of the day, you listen to all those songs, and no matter how they're produced, they always come from this place of soul. He's always got the church in there somehow. And to know that he knew what I did, to have met him, to have I'd seen him a month before his passing, to be able to have been able to tell him I would not exist were it not for you, and to have him go, oh man, oh shit, because he was really humble too, and very funny, very much a joker. But it's a loss. It's it hit me. It still hits me sometimes. We're doing this BET thing, and I have a special song that I'm doing for the tribute for the show on the 26th of December, and I'm listening to the rehearsal tapes, and it's just like, you're just amazed by the magnitude and the weight of his sensitivity creatively.
Yeah.
That he could write the songs that he writes and that they could mean so much. So that's why, for me, the anxiety is so strong because, I'm so aware of that level of creativity and artistry. I know I'll never be Prince, and obviously no one will ever be Prince, but you want to kind of keep the tradition going. You want to maintain the legacy of soul.
Right.
You want to write songs that are not time stamped, that don't have a watermark for the moment that they came out, but
Yeah.
that live throughout the lives of people, and it's a sad thing that we had to lose someone so incredible so early
Right.
under those circumstances, whatever they may be, because there's so many, theories to it. But
To me,
but
it's irrelevant.
yeah, but
You
he
know?
he was just
An amazing person,
truly
and
one of a
amazing
kind.
artist.
Yeah.
Now, you dedicated this album to Prince?
There's a lot of stuff there. It's funny. The record was finished, and then of course, I got the. It's funny. I was shooting the album cover and all the promo photos for it, and we're in the process of production and,
Yeah.
and mastering and everything. And I saw him, and then a really beautiful story. Because Harry Belafonte, he had this amazing event where he was writing a book. He was coming out with a book. I don't know if you
Yeah.
caught wind of that. So he was announcing a book. So one of his, a friend of mine, Damaris, who he knows very well, who dances with him and hangs out with him because, he loves the ladies and stuff. She called me up. She's like, yo, Prince is doing this thing at Avenue in New York. Can you come down? I'm shooting this album package, hoping that, that my edges are like, on point, and I'm not too shiny or whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, hell yeah, I go down. And Harry Belafonte's there. All these people are there to just witness the greatness that is and was and will always be Prince. And so I get a call from a good friend of mine who knows Harry. So I meet Harry Belafonte in person at his house
Wow.
in New York. And Harry Belafonte for me is like, if Prince is like Prince, and then there's Harry, who's a civil rights leader,
Yeah.
who's just black man chic,
Yeah.
G Don, black James Bond.
Right.
That's what he is, right? So I walk in, and his Oscars over there. He's got pictures of him with Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
Wow.
He's got a picture of him wiping his nose with the Confederate flag.
Wow.
Because it was thrown at him
Yeah.
when he was doing when he was being the activist that he is at the time when we were experiencing what we were experiencing as in America as Americans.
Yeah.
And he tells me, I've been talking to Prince about you. Prince was talking to me about you. Why does it take so long? What's going on? We need you. And to think, the record's done, and I know it's getting mixed, but to know that the two most important people in the world are sitting around and they're wondering where I am in the world.
Yeah.
And for him to pass on, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It's like, I got to get more music out there. I got to get out there faster.
Yeah.
And then I got to figure out ways to be able to facilitate other artists so that they can sell records in a live performance fashion. So we're figuring out a few things out, just having records at the venues and, creating event situations for people like Ro James, Miguel, and, musicians, people who
Yeah.
really care about the craft and are not really interested in having to market themselves
Yeah.
and sponsor products, because the game has changed so much,
Yeah.
and radio has changed because of how you can experience music
Yeah.
now with the internet. And that's why I always take my time to really come to see you guys, because you really send the message to the world,
Yeah.
specifically to the listeners. And it's just great to be a part of this great tradition of soul.
No, definitely. And I was curious just because the album is coming out after he unfortunately passed. Is there a specific song on there or anything on there that you would say is kind of inspired, or it was? I'm sure it was pretty much done.
Yeah, I mean, he's always kind of in there somehow with me. You know, I mean, it's kind of like with Marvin, and you know, it's just I learned how to be a musician and a songwriter because of him. So
Right.
he's always kind of in the background, you know, making sure
Yelling
that I
at
don't
you.
that I don't
Get it right.
Yeah, get it right. Speak consciously. Be provocative, but don't be offensive. Be respectful. And for me, my whole thing is, can you do it at 60? You know, that's the barometer for me when it comes to songs. It's like, am I gonna look stupid saying these words
At 60.
at 60? You know, so it's like a Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis sort of perspective on
Timeless.
music. Try to be timeless. Speak to the emotions of people, not to the trends and to the, you know, the banality of like all the stuff that, you know, people get barraged with in terms of just, you know, reality shows and
No.
the spectacle of the social
I
media.
don't ever want to see you do reality show. Please do not ever do that to me.
My
Every
life is
single person
already-
I've ever seen to do a reality show, I've always changed my perspective afterwards. I'm
I
just
think
like,
you become too accessible, but
Yeah.
look, I will say this because I have a lot of friends who
done it.
have done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody has a different path. There are no judgments here. I just feel like for me, I love the freedom of just being the music to people, being able to leave, go and
Get a Starbucks.
get a Starbucks, walk down the street, go and fly to Africa and do, you know, charity work and not have it be such a spectacle.
Right.
It can be. I look at a lot of my friends, you know, and I'm like, I feel for them because they have cameras following them all the time. You know, I feel like the media is very respectful of me in some ways because they know that I'm not hustling for celebrity, you know.
Yeah.
It's really about the creative process for me. And, you know, I can't thank them enough for just that alone.
I think people are also trying to get used to you without the hair. I think that's also it too, because like
It's been like 14 years with no hair, but I
I
still get
know,
the
but
question.
it's like the trademark. That's what you imagine when I first saw you in concert. I was like 12 years old. My sister drugged
Me
me. I was
too,
like,
right?
come on, right? And I just remember the hair because, of course, like Maxwell seats, you know, they're a pretty ticket. You get your money. I'm not mad because you deserve every penny. But like, I could see the hair before I could see anything. And so for me, it's like, if I don't see the hair, that's not really Maxwell. But it is because you hear the voice. You're like, no, that's Maxwell.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It was a conscious decision on my part because mainly my finances could not support the conditioner that I had
Stop.
to buy. The Frizzies was just too much Frizzies for me. I don't know. For me, I knew that it was sort of like a thing that people were into, and
Yeah.
I had to prove to myself that I was more than a haircut and
Which
more
you
than a
are.
look. And, you know, thankfully, you know, when the last album came out, it was the most selling. I mean, you know, and for me that was really gratifying because it was like, okay, cool. This is not just about looks and plus I'm 43, so it's like I don't know if I could really bust a fro and legitimately
No, you don't need
bust
to.
it
I
out.
like this new swag.
You
It's
with
like
it?
the
You
grown
with
man.
the tape up?
I've
You know,
evolved.
Waves are popping, you know, they swimming, kind of.
Well, speaking of evolving, now you've just celebrated 20 years since your first album.
Yeah,
And now we're about to drop your 5th album.
yeah.
How would you say your sound has evolved from 20 years ago to where you are now? Would you say you have evolved at all? Or how would you say that this is going to be different from something?
I think, you know, we've made moves. I mean, in some ways, it's like a full circle experience because this new album has a lot of more up-tempo feeling. I don't know how much of it you've heard already, but
Yeah.
when the day comes, you'll see, you know, how we put it together. It's organic. It's incredibly, I feel, very musical, as we always like to be.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it's, you know, I'm very much into dichotomy and, you know, the bittersweetness of life.
Yeah.
I hope you get a sense of it. It's hard for me to describe like what the evolution is. I usually wait to see what people think and what they will feel about it when they hear it, because I have no concept at a certain point. It's kind of like it's my child, and I think it's the most beautiful thing anyways.
It's gonna be beautiful regardless.
You know what I
right.
mean? So, for me, I was shocked because I wrote Lake by the Ocean with Hot David 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so to see it be out in the world and to get all these Snapchat moments with my friends who are like, in their car and like
Playing your
Albuquerque, New
record.
Mexico,
Yeah.
and, here in San Francisco and in Puerto Rico and Japan, and like, you're like,
That's
yo,
dope.
you're playing right now. And it's like, wow, I wrote that 3 years ago, and it feels like it works. So I'm happy. That's kind of what I reach for is, it's not like, oh, I did this today. It sounds like today. It's like I want to write songs that I have written forever,
Right.
or maybe just now, and have them work because they're good songs, not because I have like the latest sort of thing going on musically that people are doing.
Well, given that I know over the last 7 years, I'm sure you've written hundreds of songs. And I'm sure there are songs that you've probably written and just didn't do anything with it. Have you ever wanted to give that to anybody else? Like, I wrote the song, but this would probably be amazing for Beyonce or whoever,
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm such a fan of hers, and I think that her work ethic is incredible. We were signed on the same label.
Yeah.
So I remember her and Destiny's Child. I remember them as like
She was a young girl.
kids, you know?
Yeah.
I was like 23 years old, and she was like, I don't know, 17, and she was with her group, and just watching her progression in her career, and her work ethic is unmatched. It's like
Right.
it's like some Michael Jackson type.
So you've never given one of your songs to another artist?
I've had songs of mine used, covered,
But you would never give something
but I would
you
do
wrote.
it. I would. I'm fully, I have no problem with
Really?
I just don't know if anyone would want it though. So I'm like,
I
but
think,
there is a couple songs that me and Mary we might do.
okay.
Alicia Keys and we did a song
Yeah.
together. I'm very selective.
I know.
A lot of my people that I work with, they are my friends. You
Yeah.
know, like Nas is a good friend of mine for years, a label mate. Alicia was a label mate. She
Yeah.
went to J Records and became Alicia Keys.
You're right.
And I could just call her Mrs. Dean because she's married to my best friend Swizz.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think like, the possibilities are so much more endless now for me
Mm-hmm.
than they have been before because I can't believe another 7 years and then here we are again and the response and, the kind of request just to be able to sit here with you and talk to you and, Time Magazine and Rolling Stone,
Yeah.
all these people hollering and then you're
They
like,
all want to talk to you.
yeah, I'm like, yo.
'Cause it's like it's been 7 years.
And it's
Maxwell.
surprising because I kind of forget. You're like, okay, yeah,
No, we care.
like I have all these years in between, and then it's just kind of like a regular life, and then you're kind of in front of like 20,000 people and
Yeah.
75,000 people, and you're like, wait a minute.
But you jump right back in and you're pretty much good. So,
I try. I do my best.
well,
you
that's
know?
one thing. I always wanted to ask that just because I noticed on your album that you had no features and you typically don't have features on your album. So I was always curious, like, has he written something that we didn't know about? So thank you for answering that because it pretty much comes down to no. So,
I mean, I want people to know I'm not a snob in any way. I have so many friends in the music industry and people that I support. And if you look at my Twitter, I'm always posting, I'm now listening, now playing. And it's always some like new artist that you don't really know, like Tom Minch and
Yeah.
Sam Wells and Sam Smith at the time, way before. I'm always like supportive of people who are soulful, whatever color they are,
yeah.
wherever they're from, when they represent the soul. I'm always like, yo, please support this person.
Right.
So I'm definitely not like, a restricted, like in an ivory tower,
No.
iron curtain type person. But I just sometimes don't really feel like I'm that relevant and important to be saying, hey, here's a song, I'm going to produce it. And
No.
I don't feel that way, but people may feel that way about me, but I don't have that air about me where I'm like,
No. Don't even ask.
yeah.
No, I think that if it were ever put out there, like Maxwell might have some songs that would fit you, then I think people would flock to it. But I think also because people know you're an artist, you're the type of artist that writes your own and does your own composure and all of that, that people are like, no, I'm gonna let Maxwell be. My last question before I go, because I know you're busy.
No, I'm good.
I heard that you were producing Birth of a Nation, their soundtrack.
Well, I did write a song for it, which I
Okay.
did perform, called Rose, because in the movie, that's the first thing he gives his wife to be.
Yeah.
That's a very beautiful movie, incredibly directed by Nate Parker.
Yeah.
I've been aware of the film for about 2.5 years, so I knew the script then.
Yeah.
I saw the movie before it was like screened at Sundance and before it broke the record. So I was very happy for him. But, it's Hollywood, so, you write songs and then someone buys the film. They have decision-making powers that I have no control over.
Yeah.
So the song is written. However, the process of my connection with that soundtrack works out is how the universe will bring it forth. But at the end of the day, it's still a great movie.
Yeah.
I will release the song in some form or fashion because I was so taken by the movie, and it's and also the diligence of Nate Parker and how tenacious he was about getting this done. It took him 7 years. Kind of sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
To get this movie out there, and it's a very riveting film.
Yeah.
But there's so many other movie prospects that are happening right now as well. Like, there's an amazing movie that Harry Belafonte is producing.
Yeah.
He's got amazing foundations that he is involved with in Africa for education, healthcare, and prevention of HIV and treatment and all this stuff that I'm involved with, which I have to say is probably the most gratifying part of what I do now. Is I didn't know that just writing a song that you could be that it was a platform that could actually help to make other people and their lives change. I had no idea. I thought it was just.
Does. Come on, Maxwell, you know that.
You do before you start becoming one.
Yeah.
And then you get into it, and then all of a sudden you're like,
Wow.
Fame is very weird as it strikes you. It can be quite addictive. It can change you. It can make your ego crazy. You got to get smacked down a little bit. Then, you get into this place where it's a fork in the road, and it's like, do you want to be celebrity? Do you want to be artist?
Yeah.
And all of us get this, it's like the devil's asking you this question, right?
Yeah.
On top of the hill, I can give you everything here, or do you want this, or whatever. So I've made my decision to just stick with the artistry part of it. Maybe I'm a control freak, and that's kind of why I don't really go out there and feature out in every which way and direction. But
that's protecting yourself as well, protecting your brand, because what you are and what you represent for the industry, honestly, a lot of people look at that and they try to model that. Like, I want a timeless album, and not everybody can accomplish that. So
I got a lot of amazing help, and I have to say Stuart Matthewman, who's from Sade, who wrote No Ordinary Love, and If I Never Thought I Could See the Day. I mean, just all the baddest Sade records with him and the band members as well.
Yeah.
He was there in the beginning with Urban Hang Suite. We've got 2 songs together on the new album called Lost and Listen Here, all done in first take, never written before. Went there, didn't hear it. We have such a connection. Like, literally everything was written, finished in 30, 40 minutes. Like, it was like that. And for me, this is the Black James Bond album. That's the only way I can describe it. Since we can't actually get a Black James Bond, I said, let's just make a Black James Bond record.
Let me get an early copy, please. Just me. I promise I won't leak it. Come on. Anyway, well, thank you so much for checking in. I mean, we were so excited to have you. We're so excited to see you back. And promise me one thing before you go. We will not have to wait 7 years
No, you won't.
for the third piece.
No, you won't, because if you have to, that'd be 50 years old, and I'm not interested in having the same album title at
Okay.
50.
Just
So
making sure.
I want to get as much stuff out there, and I want to create foundations and create opportunities to facilitate other artists.
Yeah.
Before my time, because time is so precious. You see the people that we've lost this year.
Yeah.
So many good people. David Bowie, Muhammad Ali. I mean, so many good people are not around, and nothing is promised. So I'm starting to really see the relevancy of like what it is that I'm here to do
Yeah.
before I go. And I really, again, have to stress, thank you so much for supporting soul music. It's not just about my music and my record. It's about other people out there who are desperately in need of this emotional foundation that, harkens back to a time that had nothing to do with cars and watches and
Bling.
bottles and
Hoes.
and blah blah blah, but
Yeah.
just real emotional stuff that can get college students through their midterms and their exams and
Life.
life. So it's an amazing gift and a great blessing that you guys have been so supportive.
Oh, we're always going to support Maxwell. I'm just going to put that out there for the record. Ask James about me. I told him, what? Anyway, Black Summer's Night in stores July 1st. Maxwell, are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram. It's simple. It's Maxwell. It's a simple
Following him
Instagram.
now.
Yeah, please follow me. I want my followers up.
Oh, and yeah, I'm going to ask you about your Twitter after this because I read one tweet. I was like,
I know what tweet you're talking about.
exactly. Your girl Shay Diddy, the legend Maxwell.
That was so retweeted. My God, I've never had so many retweets on.
Yeah,
on
we gonna
anything.
talk. It's 106 KVL, y'all.